All right, this is exercise 612. I'm going over this exercise because it has a lot of similarities with activity-based costing. This exercise is not actually activity-based costing, but it's very similar, so it should help you out with your homework problem from Monday. This is a situation where we've got two production departments, P1. They have really original names in this book, don't they? P1 and P2. All right, and here's our estimated factory overhead for each department and for the total. And here's our driver. We're going to use labor hours as a driver. Okay, and we've got two products that we're going to allocate overhead costs to, product A1 and B1. And these are the driver units. The units we're going to use estimated labor hours. Okay, and you can see that for production department 1, we'll use 2 labor hours. For production department 2, 3 labor hours, 5 labor hours total. So what's going on here is we've got this one product that's going through production department 1, production department 2. All right, 2 hours spent in the first department, 3 hours spent in the second department, 5 hours total. Now, the other product, product B, we're spending only 1 hour in department 1, 4 hours in department 2, still a total of 5 hours. Okay, so what we're going to look at is, well, what if we allocate cost? What if we have one departmental-wide overhead rate and we allocate cost that way? All right, so let's do that first. If we're going to do an overall plant overhead rate, okay, what we would look at is estimated total overhead for the plant, which is 3 million, and divide that by the estimated total driver units, which is 400,000. Okay, so we come up with $7.50 as the estimated overhead cost. Okay, so if we're going to allocate overhead to these products, we just look at the total estimated driver units, right, for that product. So 5 hours times $7.50. Okay. Question, Lauren? Okay, to get to 750, here, take a look. We get the 3 million, it's total estimated overhead over the total estimated driver units. Okay, so this is a single plant-wide rate. So what they're saying is a direct labor hour is a direct labor hour, whether it's in Department 1 or Department 2. Okay, and they're saying the amount of overhead applied is smoothed, okay, over the departments. Okay.
Is that divided by 7 or times?
This is 3 million divided by 400,000. I just messed up my formula here, but it's, I'll go back and fix it. Oh, it's okay. All right, now for Department B, I've already got my rate, okay, and I've got total hours. Okay, so we're going to take 5 total hours times 750. Okay. Now, if I were doing, this is using a single cost pool. Okay. The second part of this problem says, well, what if we use 2 cost pools? Okay. We're going to use one cost pool and a separate overhead rate for production department 1 and production department 2. So I'm saying this is similar to activity-based costing, but it's a little bit different. Our cost pools would be different. All right, cost pools and activity-based costing revolve around activities like setup, okay, rather than departments. Okay, but this is similar because we're breaking our total overhead down into smaller cost pools. We're using the same driver units, which is also unusual. If you had the same driver units, you probably wouldn't break it down. But it's very close. It's very close, and it should help you with your homework. Okay, if we did an overhead rate just for production department 1, okay, we would then go, how would we do that? Amy, can you tell me? Amy says take what? 2 million divided by 100,000. That's exactly right. Okay. So we get an overhead rate for Department 1 of $20, okay, per hour in Department 1. Okay. So we'd have a rate for Product 1 in Department 1. Okay. I want to figure out the overhead that's being applied Product 1, or Product A, Production Department 1. Okay. How many hours did Product A spend in Department number 1? 2 hours. So I'm going to take 2 hours times my Department 1 rate. So I get $40. Okay. All right. Now, Product B, how much time did Product B spend in Department number 1? 1. Okay, so that's going to be equal to 1 hour times my rate. Okay. Yes, question, Lauren.
What was the logic behind dividing the $2 million by 100,000?
The logic behind this, just take a look at these for a minute, Lauren. What's going on in these two departments? See, if you look in Production Department 1, we've got way more overhead, okay, and far fewer hours, okay? So overhead per hour, more overhead is being used. There's more indirect costs going on in Department 1, okay, than in Department 2, because you got fewer dollars and the base is greater. So both of those things will reduce the overhead rate. What this is doing, the $7.50, is just kind of smoothing the costs over both departments. What we're doing here is we're coming up with a separate overhead rate for each department. Now I've got the overhead rate for Department 1. Look, it's $20 compared to $7.50. Okay? Now what I want you guys to do, come up with an overhead rate for Department 2 and allocate those costs, those Department 2 overhead costs. So take a couple minutes to do this, and I'll put this on pause. Okay, let me walk through this very quickly because I think everybody's got this. So my rate for Production Department 2 then is going to be equal to 100,000 divided by, or a million divided by 300,000. So that's $3.33. I'm doing right so far? Okay. Then I'm going to apply that to the hours in Department 2. So it's going to be equal to 333 times 3 hours. And for B1, it's going to be equal to 333 times 4 hours. Okay. So the total amount of overhead that's applied to Product 1 is $50, and the total amount applied to Product 2 is $33.33. Okay, let me just show you something. It might make it help you understand what's going on here. If I use this 750, I just took the totals, but if I did it by department, it would be equal to 750 times 2 equals 750 times 3, and this would be equal to 750 times 1 equal to 750 times 4. Okay. Okay, so you can see for instance, right here, in these two departments, for product A1 and B1, you only have a total of what, $22.50 being applied from this department if you were smoothing. Here you got $60 being applied. And the reverse is true here. You got way more overhead being applied here and much less here. Okay? And so the point is, by breaking this down into these two smaller cost pools, okay, you've got a more accurate read of what your total cost is. Okay?